expert classes.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I am a professional acrobat and I'm here with the Desire Company. Today I'm going to be taking you through a flexibility class focused on front splits. It's going to have a warm-up to properly warm up your hip, get your muscles in your legs ready and your lower back ready for it. And then we're going to follow that up with an activation strengthening section so that way you protect the joints when you go into these more intense stretches, and then following it up with getting into our splits. All you need for this class, I'm using the Aloha cork mat. I have my Manduka bolster, and then on top of that I'm also wearing my Lululemon clothes so that way I can be nice and comfortable and move freely throughout class, and I have a Garmin watch so that way I can pay attention to timing and make sure that my heart rate and I'm breathing nice and slow. All right, so let's start. To begin with, you can bring your feet out into a straddle, not too big, and then hands on your hips. We're just gonna start with some nice big hip rolls to warm up our hips and get everything moving. Start getting the movements nice and fluid, get out any cracks and crunches that you may have, and then you can switch directions. Make sure you go both ways. Trying to take our movements as big as we possibly can. Good, and then finding stillness. Bringing your feet back together, furthering warming up our hips. We're gonna use one leg, lift it up in the air to make a big circle, draw it out with your knee. So bring it up in the front, drawing a big circle with our knee. Doing it about 3 times each direction, and then you can bring it back up to the side and then in front. Try to pick your leg up as far back behind you as you possibly can. So bring it up and around. Going to the other side, put all of your weight on your other foot. Knee comes up as high as you can. Draw a big circle. And about 3 each direction. So bringing it back to the front. Good, so getting our hips nice and loose, ready to move. From here, we're gonna do a forward fold. So depending where you're at, there's many variations. You're gonna be leaning forwards. You can keep a little bend in your knees if you feel stiffness or tension right off the bat to protect your back and your knees. If you feel okay to do so, bring your hands down to the ground, grab onto your legs wherever you are. You can grab onto your elbows, hang nice and heavy, rock side to side. Maybe if we can take it even further, take your hands underneath your feet, and then you can use your feet to pull you deeper into the stretch. And just really focus on following your breath. So using your exhales to get you a little deeper into these stretches and trying to remain breathing nice and deeply. The second we start taking short breaths, the second our body starts tensing up and we can't get into these deep stretches. Good, slowly releasing your hands and making your way all the way back up to a stand. We're gonna take a back bend. So you can take your hands onto your lower back. Fingertips are on your upper butt, basically palms on your lower back. This is just another way to support yourself. You want to think about rolling those shoulders back, making your neck nice and long, and then you're going to start pulling your chest up towards the ceiling, slowly leaning back as you bring your gaze up. It doesn't have to be a super big back bend, just a little bit. Getting our lower back ready. And still remaining with that nice calm breath. And see if you can sink a little bit deeper. And then on your inhale, you can bring it all the way up. Taking your feet nice and wide, we're gonna go into some side lunges. So the most important thing is that you keep your heel on the ground. So when I'm shifting over to my right side, I need my heel on the ground. So we're really making sure that we're stretching out our hip and behind our ankle properly. You want to sit your hips and send them backwards so that way you can sink down. If you're up here today, that's totally fine. If you can bring your hips all the way down, that's cool too. Wherever you are, and we're just gonna slowly walk our hands and we're gonna go side to side. If we're up here, same thing, going as far as we can without lifting our heel off the ground. Taking a moment to do this. Seeing if we can sink maybe a little bit deeper every time. And then the leg that's straight, you can keep your toes turning up towards the ceiling. So as I transfer over, I rotate onto my heel, let my toes turn up towards the ceiling. We're gonna go one more each direction. Good. And then slowly inch your feet in. Further warming it up a little bit. We're gonna go into this nice little squat position. You can put your hands wherever's comfortable. And what we're doing is we're turning our knee in, tapping our knee to the ground. Turning our heel back down, getting nice and flat, turn the other knee in. We're only gonna do 3 on each side. This is our second time. And trying to keep your hips at the same level, so we're not trying to stand up too high in between or anything. Good, awesome. Last thing for the warm-up. Choosing whichever foot you'd like to start with in the front, we're going into our nice low lunge. We're gonna keep our knee lifted from the ground. So we're pressing through our back toes. Our hands are framing our front foot. This is a time that if you cannot reach the ground comfortably, you can grab some blocks or anything that kind of raises your hands up. So if they need to be up here, that's okay. So bringing your hands down by your foot, wherever you can go. Hips are sinking nice and low, keeping our back knee straight, rocking forward over our leg, then pulling our hips up just a little bit. So I rock forward, sink into my hip, then I push up through my hips, getting a little stretch behind my front knee. Sinking forwards, opening up my back hip, front of the thigh, stretching behind my knee. And then switching out legs. Bring your other foot up, framing your foot, doing whatever you need to do to get comfortable here, and then taking our movement forward, opening up that back hip, straightening out our front knee or going as far as we can, listening to your body. Leaning forwards, open it up, and bringing it back. If you need to take any extra time in any of these positions, you can always pause this and take the time that you need to get these areas to release. Good. Bringing both of your feet back together, we're gonna stand up on the mat. So we're gonna take a moment to go through some strengthening, some activation, get your joints kind of protected and strong so when you go into these different stretches, you don't hit bone to bone, joint to joint. It protects it, gets it nice and strong, gives it a little framework that you can move a little more freely between. So, with that being said, hands on your hips, hands out to the side. If you need to hold on to something, that's fine. We're gonna start with nice slow kicks. So we're gonna do very slow. You don't have to get your foot all the way up. It can be an inch off the floor, it can be 5 feet off the floor, wherever you are. Really slow lifting and lower. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other side. 1, 2, keeping our bottom leg straight, 3, 4, and 5. Same thing out to the side. So when we go out to the side, twist that thigh up. Don't let your toes stay turning to the side because I was gonna start doing this type of thing. So our toes are turned up, our hips are tucked under, and we're gonna just slowly lift. Same thing, nice and controlled. 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side, hips tucked, shoulders back. 1, straight bottom leg. 2, 3, 4, and 5, good. And then to the back. So little lean forwards, not all the way. We're gonna try to keep our chest right here. Our front foot's facing the front of our mat, and then lifting nice and controlled. 1, 2, straight back leg, straight bottom leg. 3, 4, 5. Switch it out. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Next one. We're gonna bring our toe to our knee. And then we're gonna try to lengthen our leg out and straighten it as much as we can. If we bring our toe up and we can get only here, that's fine, but we're really trying to strengthen the top of our quads, our butt, all of that area. So it's a lot of work. You can do it wherever you are. Enjoy the journey. Bringing one toe to your knee. Extend your leg out. We're just doing 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Other leg. 1, 2, 3. To the side. So all the same directions. Knees pulled open, toe to knee, and lifting. 1, 2, 3. And other. 1, 2, 3. Last one. To the back. So same thing. We have a little bit of a lean forward. We're gonna bring our foot behind us. Bring our lower core in so we're not doing anything with our lower back. And we're gonna bring our knee to knee this time. So my knees to my other knee, my heels pulling up towards my hips, and then I extend it out. I bring my heel in as close as I can, knee to knee. There's 1 and 2 and 3. Other side. Knee to knee again, toe facing the front, pulling this heel up. 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. All right, last exercise, we're gonna do our activation exercise, then we're gonna start getting into our splits. We're gonna go down on the mat. We're gonna bring our elbows onto the mat, press down through those elbows, tuck them under as much as you can so we're not relaxing too far down. That can be very uncomfortable. And then we're gonna bring one foot in towards our butt. So scoot that heel in as close as you can. Pull your lower belly in to protect your back. And then lifting our foot up nice and controlled. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pause at the top and just a little once. 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To your side. So on your side, we're gonna be leaning on our elbow. We can place our other hand in front, and you're gonna be turning your toe up, remember. We wanna make sure our toes are turned up, not turning down. My toes are turned up, and then I'm gonna be kicking all the way up as high as I can, nice and slow and controlled. So I'm not really kicking, more like lifting. There's 2, here's 3, 4, 5. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. Same thing. So on our elbow, making a nice straight line. Bend your bottom leg for a little more support. Hand can be in front or on your hip, wherever you feel good. And then lifting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Onto your belly. So on your belly, make a home for your chin or your forehead, whichever you want to do. One hand on top of the other, placing your chin down, and then you're gonna be lifting your leg and not trying to open your hips. So it's gonna be a very small lift actually. So I really make sure that my hips are staying on the mat and I lift only as far as I can without turning. So I'm lifting up and lowering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2. Keep those hips on the ground. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Now for the fun part. We're gonna get ready to get down into our splits. So you can take whichever leg you'd like to start with in front. I suggest starting with your tighter side, but whatever you'd like, you can do. You're gonna put your foot of choice in front, pull your hips, square them to the mat. So you wanna think about making sure that we're not facing the side, we're facing the front of the room. So I pull my back hip forward, and then I try to get my knee directly over my ankle. From there, I'm sinking in a little bit further, as far as I can, and I'll take my other hand on top of my knee. And we're just holding here. You can do little pulses, or just hold still, giving yourself just about 10, 15 seconds, letting yourself sink a little bit more and thinking about pulling that back hip flexor forward. Then we can bring our hands to the inside of our foot. Walk our foot a little bit to the outside just so we have enough room. And if you can, so first of all, we can lower, bending our elbows, or if we feel comfortable, place one elbow on the ground and then place your other elbow on the ground. So from here, we can just think about pulling our back hip under, trying to keep our knee that's on the side, pulling in close to our body so we're not rolling it out right now. Keep that knee in nice and tight and see how low we can get. Only for about 10, 15 seconds again. Remaining connected to that breath so that way we can keep letting our body further trust us and sink deeper into these positions. Slowly walking up on your hands. We can straighten out our front knee, keeping our foot directly in front of us to begin with. You can point your toe or flex. For an increased stretch, flex your foot. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna think about pulling our chest forward so we're not rounding our back. And then we're gonna lower over our front leg. Going as far as you can today. Keep thinking about pulling your body nice and long, pulling your chest or your head to the front of the mat. So that way our spine stays long. Then we can walk our foot out just a little bit. Bring your other hand on the inside, lower down onto your elbows. It stretches just a little differently behind your leg. Good. From here, we're gonna switch over to our other leg, doing the same things before we make our way into our splits. So taking that nice lunge again, front foot directly in front of us, back hip turning forwards, hands are gonna go on our knees. Bring your shoulders back and let yourself sink into this position. Once again, just keep letting yourself relax. Find that nice little tight spot in your body. And then bringing your hands down to the mat, walk your foot out just a little bit and try to get to your elbows. Once again, think about pulling that knee in close to your body so we're not letting it drop all the way open. Letting your back hip pull down towards the ground. Thinking about straightening out that back leg. Awesome. And now straightening out your front leg. So we're gonna straighten this front leg. Again, bring it in front of you. You can point or flex your toes, flexing to make the stretch a little more intense. Bringing your hands down, walking them out in front, wherever you are today, and just let your body hang heavy over your leg. Maybe we can try to get our elbows down to the ground. And then walking our foot out to the side of the mat just a little bit. Hands come to the inside, and once again, we're sinking down, trying to keep our back straight, or at least thinking about pulling our body forward so we're not just rounding a lot. Stretching out a different spot behind our leg. And bring yourself back up. All right, last exercise. We're gonna actually grab our bolster, our cushion, whatever you have. You can fold up a blanket. We're gonna put it behind our back knee just to protect it. So a lot of times when we go into this next position, we can experience a lot of discomfort when it comes to bending our leg, and that's where it just doesn't feel as comfortable on our knees until we get used to it. So to begin with, you can always put something underneath your knee. Whatever you would like, just, anywhere from like 1 inch to 3 inches, a little squish. Bringing your back leg onto the mat, and then front foot's back in our lunge position. So it's just like we started out. We're gonna bend our back leg, And we're gonna grab onto that foot. We can grab with the same hand, or if we feel comfortable to do so, grab with the opposite hand. So either one works. This one, you need to be careful and you need to make sure we're still thinking about turning our body forwards. Preferably, if you can, grab with your opposite hand. Grab the outside of your foot. Bring your chest back to the front. It can be on your palm or your fingertips. And then from here, all I want you to do is start thinking about pulling your heel in towards your hip. Maybe this is already enough of a stretch and that is okay. Enjoy this journey and this process. If you feel comfortable to do so, start pulling it in. Keeping our hips turned to the front. Stretching out that back quad. And releasing, switching out legs. Knees on the cushion, getting into a nice lunge position again. And then from here, once again, you can use the same hand to grab your foot or grab with your opposite hand, grabbing the outside of your foot. Placing your front hand on the ground and then thinking about trying to pull it in wherever you feel good to do so. Gaze will come to the front of your mat. And if you can bring it in, you can always rotate your hand to the top of your foot. This is a really strong stretch for the front of that thigh. And releasing. So you can get rid of your bolster, bring it over to the side. We're gonna work our way down into our splits. So choosing your first foot, we're gonna start back in our position. We're gonna scoot our hips up behind us and slowly, keeping our front legs straight, we're gonna slowly start walking our heel out. You can keep your hands down on the ground or grab some blocks to give yourself a little more support if we don't feel comfortable doing this yet. Otherwise, just start sliding your feet out, see as far as you can go. If you can go all the way, then we're just gonna work on our alignment. So you can turn that back hip forward, you can bring your body forward. We can even take our opposite arm across our front leg and opposite one behind us, and that really pulls us nice and straight. That's the line that we're looking for. Making sure our feet are turning out. And that's one of our splits. Spending as much time as you feel comfortable in it to begin with. Always aim for like 10, 15 seconds, and if we can work our way up to 30, a minute, 2 minutes, awesome. Bring your other foot in front once again, let your hips sink. Place your hands down, straighten out that front leg. Slowly shifting our front heel out, going as far as we can, making any modifications we may need, and then finding our way into our splits wherever they are today. Pulling that back hip forward, squeezing our legs nice and tight, bringing our front foot out to the side. Once again, if you want, take your front hand across, other hand behind. Turning our body to make a nice straight line. And then just staying here for a few more seconds. I wish you guys luck on your splits journey. Practice makes perfect. It definitely does not happen overnight. Be patient with yourself, enjoy this process. That's the best part, is the journey and the process, and then there's always more room to keep progressing.